Our next honoree is a man who is bigger than life in the Dayton community. I had the pleasure of working with him for some years, and I always thought he had the voice of God. It might have been a while since you've heard his name, but that's not because he hasn't left his mark. He will always greet you with a big smile and a big hug, and that voice, oh, that voice. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David G. McFarland.
David G. McFarland was born in Erie, Pennsylvania. His broadcast career began in Hopewell, Petersburg, Virginia. David came to Dayton in 1969 to begin working at WONE Radio, where he was music director. David also worked the morning shift, and WONE quickly became one of the major country stations in the U.S. While at WONE, David had one of the longest-running remotes at a local furniture store every Sunday for 12 years.
The thing about David, he had a great voice, but there's a lot of people in radio that have great voices, and sometimes someone says, hey, you got a great voice, you should be on radio. But he went so far beyond that because he was a great communicator, and more than that, he was a great entertainer. Whether it was with a television audience on Bowling for Dollars or his radio audiences here in town, he was able to engage his audience. He was able to entertain them. And if you knew David off air, off TV, he was the same way. So what you were getting was, you were getting typical David G. McFarland if you met him on the street, or you've listened on the radio, or if you saw him on television.
In 1975, David was chosen by WDTN Channel 2 to host the local program Bowling for Dollars. The show aired 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. for 2 years. Everybody from James Brown to Phil Donahue popped through the sliding doors to surprise David and the studio audience. The summer after Bowling for Dollars went off the air, David began hosting a local talent show called the TV2 Summertime Review. It was staged on the front lawn of Channel 2, and the former Miss Ohio, Cher Patrick, did her famous belly dance on the show.
David gave me my start here in Dayton at WONE and was a consummate professional. I was working part-time, did some promotions as well, and then David saw fit to allow me to do a morning show for him, and just an outstanding friend.
In spite of David's huge broadcasting career, it was community service work that he loved best. He served on the board of the United Cerebral Palsy for a number of years, hosting the first UCP telethon on Channel 2, and later co-hosting several arthritis telethons on Channel 22. Every time there was an event for a good cause, David would volunteer to do whatever was requested, even racing elephants.
The body of work that David has left for all of us to enjoy is really what put him into the Hall of Fame. It's his work that's done it. Although we're here testifying and telling the world how great he is, everybody who's listened to David for years knows his generosity, knows his giving nature, and he's still giving. I mean, he actually even gave a kidney to his wife in the form of a kidney donation, and when she was in the hospital. So he's been a giver all of his life.
In 1985, David left the airways and opened his own video store. David G's video carryout in Englewood was very successful. When the video boom subsided, David took a job in 1990 as the afternoon talk show host at WHIO-AM. He was there for 2 years before going to work at Light 100. David's career inspired a number of young people to go into broadcasting. Jim Booker was one of them. David made many friends over the years and always had a joke and a smile.
He is a Hall of Famer. He's just one of these people who everything he did was headed in this direction. He was the type of guy that if you met him, you remembered him. If you listened to him, you wanted to listen again. And that's what it means to be in the Hall of Fame, to have a career that was memorable.
David G. McFarland is an icon in the Dayton broadcast industry, and the Dayton Area Broadcasters Hall of Fame is pleased to welcome him into the class of 2013. David G. McFarland.
David G. McFarland.
Wow. This is such an honor, and I'm just so excited to be sitting up here with this group. Give them all a hand. Is this a great group or what? I mean, these people are not only fabulous broadcasters, but great friends. And actually, it's funny because I almost didn't even get into broadcasting. When I started, I decided I wanted to go to broadcasting school, so I went to Washington, D.C. to the National Academy of Broadcasting. That sounded pretty fabulous. And anyway, when I got there, this was the DJ era, but they didn't teach you anything about being a DJ. The lady that owned it was a pioneer in the NBC radio business and was a firm believer that radio drama was coming back. So we took drama directing and all this stuff that had no relationship to actually what you would run into in radio these days. So about 3/4 of the year, through the year, the lady that owned it died. So what did they do? They graduated everybody. Naturally. But they did have some little ads on the bulletin board there, and one of them was for a small station in Virginia. So 5 of us went down there to try out for the job, and we were sitting there in the lobby, and the station manager and the program director came out and said, "Well, where are your audition tapes?" And we go, "Huh? Audition tapes?" What? So anyway, they took us in the back. We read a commercial, we read some news, and we were sitting there anxiously awaiting the decision. And the manager came out, pointed to me, and took me into the office, and he said, "I'll tell you, you guys are all really bad. But at least you've got some kind of voice, so we'll take you." So that's when I had the epiphany. So that's how to succeed in broadcasting. Have some kind of voice. You know, and I guess I did because I hung around. But anyway, then I ended up sending a tape to Dayton. Sam Yakovazzi brought me here to WONE just as they were turning country, and everything caught on. And one thing that I noticed about Dayton, and I think everybody here will agree with me, is that it was just such a different place. The radio, the TV, the newspaper, they all contributed together. When there was a cause, they were all there. Everybody was there. It wasn't like you were competitors. It's like you were friends, and it was like a fraternity. And also, the country audience was a whole different audience. It was like, and I'm sure Nancy Wilson will agree with this, is a country audience is not just a listener. They're your friend. They're your family. And it was really a treat working at WONE. It was fabulous. And then, of course, Bowling for Dollars. That was great. And they mentioned the fact that they were always pulling tricks on me and having people come out that I didn't expect. Phil Donahue came out one night. But I'll never forget the night James Brown, the godfather of soul, came out. And, of course, I was stupid enough to ask him the question that, like I set it up. I said, "How are you, James?" He goes, "I feel good." Ow! What are you going to do? But anyway, just one more thing, and this is a little story that I find kind of funny. Later on, and this shows you how long that Bowling for Dollars stayed in the minds of people. It was in my sales career in the mid-'90s, working with George Weimer, as a matter of fact. He's back here. Over at Light 99, or Light 100 as it was called then. And I got a ticket going through the school zone down there by UD. And of course, you can't just pay it, you have to go to court. Well, I wanted to go anyway because I had stopped at that stoplight in the middle, and I didn't think I was guilty. So they were always razzing me. "Oh, you're going to get off because you were on Bowling for Dollars. They're going to let you off because you were on Bowling for Dollars." So they just wouldn't let up. So I go down to the courthouse. The judge is very stern. You know, I'm waiting my turn, and he's really tough on everybody. And I'm getting really nervous there. And I said, "Judge, I don't think I'm guilty. I stopped at the light. I had this little car. I don't think I could, even if I floored it, I could go that fast in half a block." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to let you off, but I should throw the book at you since you didn't put me on Bowling for Dollars." I could hardly wait to get back to the station and say, they let me off because, anyway, thank you very much. I want to thank for the support of my family who are here tonight, my kids, Scotty, Matthew, and Angela, and my wonderful wife, Donna. They're all here tonight, and I thank you guys so much, and I thank all these people, and it's just a great thrill. Thank you so much.